time to find one. That was like the right one.
Is it seahorse?
Yeah, it's a seahorse.
It.
Gave it to me, Mary Pat Cooney, the woman who did the tap dancing story. Yeah. So, hey guys, welcome to Busted. This is true stories about getting around LA, told by people who don't drive. Today's actually our 5th birthday, or 6th. It's our 5th. Today's our true 5th anniversary, but we're going to celebrate our anniversary next month because I always like to wait till daylight savings, and also because I guess there's some movie show like on the other side of town or something. But like we struck a deal that if I do my anniversary show in March and not go head to head with them, that they would respect Busted by closing down Hollywood Boulevard between La Brea and Highland for an entire 2-week stretch. And I said, well, that's a good deal. So there's some award show on the other side of town that you can look up on Google when you get home tomorrow. But tonight we have Busted, true stories, right here in Echo Park. Give yourselves a hand for coming out. We really appreciate you guys coming out on Academy Award night. And it's such a beautiful night for February, too. We've really lucked out with the weather this winter. And by round of applause, like bus noise, how many of you guys have been to a Busted show before? Yeah, nice. And by bus noise, how many of you guys are first-timers here? Thank you. I love a good mix of new and old. So, just so you know, we have all types of storytellers that participate in our show. We have people that have been Moth winners. We have comedians. We have regular people who I've just met all over the city. Activists, sure. We have every type of person that you ever come across in Los Angeles. And they all share their true stories. And then what we like to do, some will be funny stories, some will be serious stories, but then what we like to do is we like to invite you guys to share your anecdotes at the end of the evening as well, because how many of you guys consider yourselves green commuters? Just by round of applause. Cool. So when you hear these stories, you're going to recognize stories of your own, because we all have the same experience. We're all trying to get from point A to point B in this giant city. So if you hear stories and they remind you of stories of your own and you'd like to share an anecdote up to 5 minutes, we'll invite you guys up to share your story afterwards. We have a special guest here a little bit later also. He was a guest on our show. Hey, Chess. He was a guest on our show 2 months ago, made his debut. He's an infrastructure expert. One of those people that gets all the bonds, so when we get new bus lines and trains and things like that, he's the one that kind of makes that happen and kind of handles the financial stuff and says, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can't do that. And his story was so interesting that I had like 4 or 5 people approach me asking me to reach out to him, get his address, forward questions. So we decided to welcome him back, and he's going to tell a story today. And we're going to debut a segment called Ask the Infrastructure Expert. So you guys can ask your questions directly to the person who helps basically lay out all the bus and trains and all the transit related stuff in this city. So it's really cool. So I have a couple of stories that happened this week, or this month, and I'm kind of dipping into, hey Rudy, you can see I was just talking about you. Cool. Our infrastructure expert. And so, you sure do.
Right.
No, we're bringing you on in a bit, And I work in Miracle Mile, and sometimes I'll get off at the Vermont station, at Vermont and Wilshire, even though I work in an office that's really at Normandy in Wilshire, but I like to get a little walk on and just kind of let some energy out, get some of that public transit aura off of me before I go in the office. And so I'm passing the Ambassador High School, which is directly between, or not the Ambassador High School, it's the old Ambassador Hotel where Bobby Kennedy was shot, assassinated. And there's a high school there now. And I don't know what it's called, but it's a LA unified school. And I was passing it on the way to my office building, and the kids are playing soccer on the field. Football, sorry. We have some Europeans in the house. And so they're playing football, European football, on the soccer field, the football field, on the lawn, above the sidewalk. And one of the kids kicks the ball, and it goes over the fence, and it bounces past me into the street, into Wilshire. So the kids all kind of run to the fence, and they see me walking down the street in my leather jacket, and they're like, "Hey, dude! Hey, guy! Can you grab that ball and throw it over for us?" And I'm like, "Yeah, kids." They call me like dude or bro, so I was probably like, "Yeah, right on." And I kind of gave them a little, "I'm cool old guy." And I run to the street, and it kind of bounces back to the curb, and I pick it up. And I used to play football, and when I was like younger, about 7th, 8th grade, and I played goalie. So I still have all that muscle memory of like punting it. And you guys know muscle memory, right? You do something over and over again, it becomes an automatic thing. And my muscle memory also incorporates a memory of the applause at a U2 concert that I saw down in San Diego. So I picture myself punting the ball, and the kids all cheer, and I grab the ball and I go to punt it over, and the muscle memory was off. The muscle memory was there, but the physical part was off. And so I shanked it off like the bottom of my ankle. It didn't even hit the foot. And it goes flying in the air, like way in the other direction. And I'm like so embarrassed, and I'm gonna walk over and get it, but it gets stuck in the skinny branches at the top of the tree. So now like the kids can't get it, I can't get it, and I probably ruined their recess, because they're gonna have to spend the rest of the time trying to get this ball out of the tree. And I'm about to like just apologize because I'm so embarrassed. And they go, "That's okay, sir. We know you tried." Walked away with my head down, like laughing maniacally to myself because it was so embarrassing. I had someone write in. I have people write in on occasion because we have a website, bustedlosangeles.com, and we're on all the social networks. A friend of the show, Amanda Cohen, wrote in. She was talking about an incident that happened to her or a friend at Sunset and Highland. And so she wrote me in. She's like, "Hey, Scott, what's the craziest story that ever happened to you at Sunset and Highland? Have you ever had a crazy story on the number 2 bus?" And I'm like, crazy? I've had lots of, on that one block, I actually have 3 amazing stories. I'll share one with you today. One story actually has Sunset and Highland in the title. I was taking a bus from Fairfax to Vine on Sunset, number 2 bus, and there are a lot of drivers that, they smoke weed. They smoke weed, they drink, they do all the things that everyone else does, except I ride the bus and they're driving the bus. And sometimes they can't hide it because the buses have microphones right next to the steering wheel, and it's often just too tempting to resist. So I'm riding the bus on Sunset, and this is one of those guys that likes to give excessive information about every street name, like every street reminds him of something. So we're approaching Sunset and Highland, and he gets on the microphone and goes, "Next stop, Sunset and Highland." Okay. Then he takes a beat. "Sunset and Highland." Takes another beat. "Sunset and Highland on a Saturday night. All right." This is a Wednesday afternoon. I was like, "Back door." I walked the rest of the way. That's my favorite Sunset and Highland story. The others involve violence. Won't be sharing those today because this is a celebration. It's our 5th birthday. We're 5. If we were like a little kid, we'd be missing a tooth. We'd be so cute. And one other thing I wanted to talk about today, and then I'm going to start bringing up our storytellers. I have a guest in the back I'm going to bring up also. I do announcing for basketball games in Compton. So I ride the Blue Line or the 53 down to Compton about 13 games this season. And then about 2 weeks ago, they had construction. They're doing repairs on the Blue Line. So as a result, there's delays. And they say, like, prepare for delays if you're taking the Blue Line, because between 103rd Street Watts and Willow Ave in Long Beach, they're doing this repairs, which is necessary. It's a 20-year-old line, but they didn't really plan it out well. And this isn't a comedy story. Like I said, we cover the whole spectrum. But as a result of these construction repairs during the workday, they're delaying commuters. The delay to be prepared for in reality is about anywhere from an hour to 2 hours on both ends, which is really not cool. That really is difficult for people that are working a 9 to 6 schedule. So, I took the train down to Compton on Thursday night, and I went during rush hour because I wanted to see what the delays were like for the passengers that are affected by this construction. So this is how it works. You get off at 103rd Watts Towers, then you cross the street where they have two types of shuttle buses. One is the 762, which will take you, 862, thank you. We have a bus driver in the front row. The 862 will take you directly to Willow Avenue Station, and that's a direct shuttle. But if you're taking one of the 4 Blue Line stops in between 103rd and Willow Ave, you have to get on the 760, is that right? 860, and that one stops at each individual stop. Now, they don't leave until that bus is filled. So if you cross the street and that bus is half filled, you're going to wait 20 minutes for the next train so that that car can be completely filled. So you're already dealing with a delay and now a very uncomfortable ride. But now, instead of a 7-minute ride, 2 stops from 103rd to Compton, you have about an hour and a half drive, going through the side streets of Watts and Willowbrook and Compton, because they have to stop at every station along the way. Now, I know it's inconvenient to have extra buses assigned for shuttles that may or may not be filled, but you're inconveniencing people who work long hours, who depend on Metro, who you've trained to ride the Metro Blue Line for 20 years, and they don't have the option of taking an alternate route, and they're dependent on their jobs to pay their rent. And if they lose their rent, then they have to go someplace else, and the rent where they're at is going to skyrocket because the Blue Line is being repaired. That's not cool. And if that was on the Gold Line and affecting Arcadia and Monrovia and Pasadena, I guarantee you there would not be hour-and-a-half delays. So that is a socio-economic bias, and I think that's wrong. And hopefully, we can get some answers from our infrastructure expert, or at least have a better idea of it. But that's what it's like on the Blue Line right now. And I just wanted to share that with you guys, because I know that not everybody here gets an opportunity to ride the Blue Line. We do have Blue Line storytellers who typically come in, but after taking that ride, I know that they're not going to be able to attend a Busted Up here until the construction ends. And this construction is going to go on all the way through the end of the year. So I just wanted to kind of pass that along. So anyway, that's my time, my monologue, my story. And are you guys ready for storytellers now? Awesome. You gotta make more noise than this. I brought you guys down. I'm so sorry. I'm making it up for you right now. The very first storyteller who ever told a story at our show, our very first show, 5 years ago, February 22nd, 2014, happened to walk in today. He also happens to be the most styling and profiling non-motorist in the entire county of Los Angeles, and also a very good friend of Busted, one of the top storytellers in the city, a moth champion, and one of my best friends, my stylist. Please welcome Buck Ball. Buck to the ball. He's the reason all the storytellers look good in LA.
Not true.
It is true. Give me a hug.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Busted. Get out of here.
Oh, I'm gonna grab my beer.
No, this is mine now. That's totally mine. Hi, thank y'all. Busted, 5 years. Yeah, I remember the first one. I remember my first beer. That's why I don't drive. So I recently have gone keto, and I'm trying to eat healthier and take care of myself, which is wild because I've never done that before, which is why I don't drive. Domino's pizza app has what they call rewards. Domino's is never a reward, okay? So like for me, I miss that the most. My girlfriend left me. I don't do coke or dope or anything else anymore. I miss Domino's. And you talk about Moth Champion. What I used to do is, I guess I still do it because I'm a vain asshole, but I would go, I used to live on Western and Hollywood, and I would walk, yeah, I know, trust me, I was there. It was a bad neighborhood. I know that because I lived there. Any neighborhood that has me is a bad neighborhood. But the Moth used to, I guess it still is, at La Brea and Wilshire, because I know we do cross streets here. So, at Busby's East, this was like 3 or 4 years ago, something like that. I went and did the Moth, and I love it. I absolutely love the Moth. Storytelling has been one of the best things in my life to ever happen to me, just like Scott. Like, I'm so thankful for everything. Yeah, well, whoop it up, one at a time. Hold your applause. But I did the Moth, and I'm hanging around. I believe it was honestly around this time because the theme was Love Hurts, and it was my Moth anniversary as well. Yeah. And I go and I do the Moth, and I get to perform, and this was at a point in my life where I got second place 27 times in a row, losing by 0.1. Like, oh man, I am the resident villain. But what I would do is stick around, and then after everybody would leave the show, I would, because I always look like this. Like, literally, it's the only flex I have, because my largest fear is large gusts of wind. I literally could turn sideways, and a breeze would take me away. So I would stick around, say, oh, thank you for coming to the show, thank you for supporting, like, I really appreciate everything that you would do for me. And the bus stop was right there. It was what I would do is the 720, and then take the Western up. The Western went 72, right? 207. Yeah, it's a Wild West. The 207 is fucking Wild West. Yeah, right? There we go. The driver knows. The driver knows that the shit fucking pop off. And I'm standing outside and like, thank you for supporting the community and storytelling. I really appreciate everything. My name is Buck, like, passing out cards, whatever it is, like, do the high buys, shake hands, kiss babies. And after 9, the rapids stopped moving. So it's like, okay, the Moth ends at 9:30, something like that. I'm out. The last rapid goes by, and Wilshire is forever under construction. It is perpetually under construction, and God knows what to expect with the bus lines there, because they keep moving the stops. So, like, I'm out there glad-handing and doing the politician thing. Like, I could run a campaign on this hairline. And I'm out, doing my thing, and the last rapid goes by. I see it literally as I'm like, oh, thank you, and I just see it. I'm like, oh man, that's the 10. That's the last 10 p.m. That's the last 720 that's gonna go. All right, cool. Now this is happening. And I don't mind. I walk everywhere. I still do. Like, I got a DUI and took a gun from a cop, so obviously I can't drive. So I start to walk. And I always look like this. I'm always in a suit, like ABC, always be cute. And so I'm walking down Wilshire, and it's under construction, and there's dust and everything like that. I'm like, oh, I'll walk. I don't like to be stagnant. The thing I always say is I have outlaw blood, and you can't let outlaw blood pool. So I start to walk, and I'm walking down Wilshire a little bit, and I get to, I go from La Brea, and now I am at Highland. And I'm like, okay, this is like the last gap of where a bus will stop for me, is Highland and La Brea. That's the last, like, in between that and K-Town, like, go kick rocks. So I'm walking, and I'm like, oh, I'll walk to Highland. It'll be fine. I'll get my steps in. It's okay. I'm walking, and I get to Highland, and I'm at the stop. And when you look like this, a bus does not expect you to get on. It just doesn't. It's not going to happen. And this bus comes roaring by, and I'm like, hey, trying to wave at it. And it literally does like a Mario Kart power slide past me. Like I almost take off my shoe and just throw it at it so it'll stop. Nothing happening. So I was like, all right, fuck. So I was like, just keep walking. Just keep walking. Get your steps in. It's fine. It's fine. A little exercise never hurt you. Obviously, I was probably drunk, so I was like, oh, you walk it off. It's fine. So I keep walking a little bit more, and I get into K-Town, and I'm like, all right, you get to, I walk from La Brea and Wilshire to Wilshire and Western. Wow. Yep. Oh, I stacked steps. And I get there, and I'm like, man, I'm tired, I'm hungry, still drunk. So I'm like, okay, I'll call a Lyft. It'll be fine. But in the meantime, what I'm gonna do is order Domino's on my Domino app so that it's there when I get home. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I order Domino's. I order literally $35 worth of Domino's. Just for me. This is just for me. It's unreasonable. And I order it, and I'm like, okay, now call a Lyft. And I call a Lyft after I order this $35 worth of Domino's pizza so that I can get a free pizza the next time. Because obviously Domino's rewards. And I call the Lyft, and my phone dies. Bye. Just dies. And I'm like, oh, okay, so now I've paid a $15 Lyft, $35 for Domino's, and I'm not even gonna get the Domino's. Fuck the Lyft, I don't care. I'm more worried about the Domino's at this point because I have a relationship with the delivery driver. His name is Jesus. He saved my life. He's doing God's work. So I'm literally beside myself. I'm this close to just throwing my phone like a skipping rock across Western. I'm so pissed that I'm not going to make this Domino's. I'm so hungry, so drunk, and it's the cutoff. At this point now, it's 11. There's no more food for me. I missed my shot. You know what I get to have for dinner now? Sleep. And I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm so down on myself. And all of a sudden, the 702 comes. Like an angel. It just appears. And I know this bus because it's rowdy. This thing is a circus. And I just get on, and I have no money. I have no way of communicating anything. And I just look at the driver, and I go, ma'am, my phone is dead. I ordered all this Domino's pizza, and I need to get home. Please, I can't pay for the bus. And she goes, get on, honey, come on, we're gonna get you there. Angels exist. Angels exist. And I get on, and literally you can see the entire bus is there's people nodding off, and there's, it is a circus. And she goes, stay up here, we're gonna get you. And she just takes off. Floors it, and we're going, literally, I've never seen a bus haul ass through a yellow light. This bus is passing people now. And she's like, we're gonna get you there, don't sit down, stay with me. And we're passing cars, people are hitting the stop button, and she's like, no, they're not for real. She goes, come on, we're gonna get you there. And I was like, I'm so sorry. And she goes, no, honey, I know how it is, let's get you fed, you need a sandwich. Because that's how I look, that's the compliment I get, is people try and feed me. And we're passing and everything like that, and we go all the way up, we're making record time at this point. She is literally shifting up in the bus, and it's jerking, and I'm excited, and she was like, what'd you get? I was like, oh, I got pizza, and she was like, oh, I could use pizza right now. I was like, well, you can come hang out, I'm doing everything I can to offer her. And we get up to Hollywood and Western, and the bus makes a left, and the final stop is actually off Hollywood. And we get to the top of Western, and she was like, she stops at a red light, and she just opens up the door, and she goes, run, sugar, run! Go! And I just get out, I hit the ground running. And it's still 3/4 of a mile to get there. And I run, and I am hauling ass. Please remember, I'm in a suit and wingtips at this point, also drunk. And I'm just running as fast as I can. I played college soccer. At any point in time, I can smoke a pack of cigarettes and run a 5K under 15 minutes. So I'm hauling ass, and I make it there. And I get to the door just in time, and I see my neighbor, my downstairs neighbor. He literally lives right beneath me. And I go, "Has Domino's come yet?" And he goes, "No, I don't know what you mean." And I go, "Yeah!" And I scream so loud, I just throw up. It's a yard sale. It's a yard sale. Everything must go. Like, literally, I throw up so hard I start crying. And then I come up, I come up for air because, like, it's one of those dehydration things. I come up for air, and then Domino's rolls up. It's Jesus. And he goes, "Mr. Ball," and I go, "Yes." I go, "Yes, that's for me. I made room for this." And literally, like, my downstairs neighbor is still right next to me after watching me, like, violently throw up and then celebrate Domino's showing up. And I get it, and it's just like a handful, like literally like 50 pounds worth of Domino's. And I go, do you want anything to eat? I go, "Are you hungry? You want to come upstairs, have some Domino's?" And he was like, "No, I think you probably need it more than me." And literally, I ate all of it. I ate all of it so much that I threw up again. Yeah, that's my life. That's why Domino's will never be a reward. Even though the app says they do Domino's rewards, it is not a reward. Thank y'all. Happy birthday, Buster. Thank you, bus driver.
My friend Buckball! You know, you haven't run properly unless you throw up. Every time I run, I throw up.
I don't think that's how it works, Scott.
No, that's how I know I've given my 100%. Because, you have to face your coach in the mirror. Well, I grew up in a really rough coaching situation. Hey, by the way, next month is our 5-year anniversary event. And how many of you guys have received these, like, crappy flyers over the years? Okay, yeah. In fact,
Not crappy.
no, they're nice. They're nice. I have several colors now. And but anyway, this is our 5th anniversary event. I think what I'm going to do I always try to do something special for the anniversary events. We've had bands, we've had dance squads, DJs. I think I'm going to try to do all of them this time, or maybe 2 bands and a dance squad or something. But who wants the first quarter sheet? I knew you were going to want it, Erica. Pass it back to Erica. Yeah, I have like 20 of those I got to carve up and hand out on the sidewalks next month. Okay, you guys ready for your next storyteller? I'm gonna bring you up now. Awesome. Well, you gotta get more noise than that. She's like one of Buster's all-time favorite storytellers. She has been doing our show for 5 years, and if anybody has done the show 100 times, this person would be the one. Because she's done her show. Every time I book a show, she's the first person I ask, and most of the time she says yes. And she curates a Facebook page called Tales from the Bus, which is amazing. I know a lot of you guys check that out. It's a very popular Facebook page. She's also a Moth winner, and also a good friend of mine, a good friend of the show, a good friend of yours, or a good friend of yours to be. Please welcome Katya Duft. Katya Duft.
Oh, I'm so bad this time.
Oh, it's me. I always twist the thing.
Okay, I think it's time to tell you the story. What's the second reason for me not driving? Besides me being a brain computer, my story of learning how to drive is extremely miserable, and I want to share it with you. When I lived back in Russia, I really never needed to drive because we have amazing public transportation, but at some point around 23, I started thinking, why not? Everybody At least most of my friends know how to drive. I should learn. At the time, I was dating this Russian guy, and Russian men are very sexist when it comes to driving. There is this terrible proverb that they use a lot saying, a driving woman is like a monkey with a grenade, which is terrible. Yes, and my boyfriend at the time was quoting that a lot, and he said, fine, if you really want to learn, I'll teach you, but let's make it hard for you. So he had a really old Russian car with manual transmission, so in the middle of winter, he took me to a stadium at the high school and made me drive in deep snow. And him and his friend got out of the car and gave me instructions what to do, but they didn't want to be in a car with me, of course. So they were laughing and like pointing fingers at me until I drove the car into a huge pile of snow and it came to a complete stop and I wasn't able to restart it. So a police car stopped next to us and they started asking him like, what's going on? What is this woman doing? And I got so scared because every Russian is afraid of the police for a variety of reasons. Because, you know, they take bribes and they're not very nice. So anyways, I ran away to the woods and the guys had to explain to me. So that was a completely humiliating experience. So then a couple months later, when the summer started, he told me, let's try again, okay, and I'll try to be nice to you. I won't even go for a drive with you. You go with one of your girlfriends. So he gave me his manual transmission car again. We started driving around town, and I was like, oh, I'm doing so well. And then, boom, and I crashed into pavement. And there was a huge dent on the front of his car. So I called him and said, I'm so sorry, maybe I should have still come with you because I now think I ruined the front of your car. And my girlfriend was like, no, don't worry about it, it's just a dent. But guess what? He comes out of his house with a huge garbage bag and a hammer. I'm like, see, he's going to kill me with a hammer, put me into the garbage bag and bury me for ruining his car. And she was like, what? What kind of relationship do you guys have? So anyways, he comes up and he's like, no, that's just garbage. And then he like applies his hammer to kind of straighten the dent. And then he just comes out with some water and cleans it. And he's like, that's not so bad, don't worry about it. But I'm like, you know what? I'm good for nothing. I'm never driving again. So 5 years after that, I'm moving to LA. And I started working at this private school where all my students actually started driving at like 12 by stealing parents' cars, getting into accidents, getting traffic tickets, having to go to traffic court. But around 16, they all get expensive cars from parents. So they notice me taking a bus every day and they're like, teacher, are you poor? I'm like, nah, that's not the story. I mean, maybe part of it, but not really. So no, that's not the reason why I don't drive.